In the next hour, something unexpected will enter your life. This is not a coincidence. Archangel Michael reveals that a major shift is already in motion for you. Pay close attention, because someone is thinking about you right now in a way they cannot control. They tried to forget you, but they failed. Your name keeps returning to their mind, especially in silence, especially at night. Something is about to happen that will change everything between you and them. A message, a confession, or a sudden truth they can no longer hold inside. They are realizing your value too late. And now, regret is becoming stronger than pride. Do not ignore this sign, because what is coming is not small. It is a turning point in your emotional destiny. A connection that was paused is now being pulled back by fate. You may soon notice a message, an unexpected call, or a sudden emotional confession. This is not random. This is divine timing. Archangel Michael says, you are entering a phase where silence will end and truth will speak, but only those who stay aware will see it unfold. Something you have been waiting for is already moving toward you, and when it arrives, you will understand why everything had to happen this way. Write in the comments, I am ready for my breakthrough. So you align yourself with what is coming next. Stay open, because your story is about to shift. Something is happening around you right now. Even if nothing looks different on the outside, but inside, something is shifting. You may not understand it yet, but your energy is entering a new phase. Archangel Michael brings a message for you, not to scare you, but to wake you up to something that has already started, because what you are about to experience is not random. It is aligned, and alignment always begins silently before it becomes visible. There are moments in life when nothing physically changes, yet everything energetically moves. This is one of those moments for you. You might have been feeling strange lately. A sudden emotional heaviness, thoughts that return without warning, memories that feel unfinished, or someone you tried to forget appearing in your mind again and again. You may think it is just overthinking, but it is not. There are connections in this world that do not disappear when ignored. They only become quieter until the right time reactivates them again, and that time is now beginning. Archangel Michael says there is someone connected to your story who is currently going through an emotional awakening, not because they planned it, but because truth has a timing of its own. They are remembering you in silence, not in words, not in actions, but in moments when they are alone with their thoughts, especially at night, when distractions disappear. Truth becomes louder, and in those moments, your presence returns to them, not physically, but emotionally. The way you made them feel is starting to come back, and now they are realizing something they avoided for a long time. They did not value what they had while they had it, and this realization is not gentle, it is heavy, because regret is not loud at first, but it becomes louder the longer it is ignored. Meanwhile, you have been going through your own journey, trying to move forward, trying to understand why certain people left, why certain connections felt unfinished, why closure never fully arrived. But what you did not know is this: not all endings are endings. Some are pauses, some are delays in timing, and some are emotional alignments waiting for both sides to evolve. Archangel Michael says there are timelines in your life that are now starting to reconnect, not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped resisting what was meant to unfold naturally. There is a deep emotional truth here. You cannot truly forget someone who was connected to your soul experience, even if you try, even if time passes, even if silence grows. Something inside you still remembers. That is why certain memories feel random, but heavy. That is why certain names still echo in your thoughts without warning. That is why certain feelings return even when you think you are over them. This is not confusion. This is connection energy, and connection energy does not disappear, it transforms. Right now, transformation is happening on both sides. On your side, you are becoming stronger, more aware, more emotionally independent. On their side, they are becoming more honest with what they feel, even if they are not expressing it yet. Because truth always reaches awareness before it reaches action. And soon, Action follows. You may start noticing signs in your life, not big dramatic events, but subtle emotional shifts, a message that arrives unexpectedly, a name that reappears in conversation, a sudden dream that feels too real, a feeling of something is about to happen that you cannot explain. These are not coincidences. They are emotional synchronization signals, and Archangel Michael says, when energy aligns, events begin to move without force. Right now, something is being prepared in silence, a moment that will bring clarity, a moment that will reveal what has been hidden emotionally. Not everything will be spoken at once, but everything will start to make sense, and when that clarity arrives, you will understand why distance was necessary, why silence was part of the process, why confusion existed before, understanding because some lessons cannot be learned while emotions are still loud. They are only understood when the heart becomes calm enough to see clearly, and you are entering that phase now, but listen carefully. This is not just about someone returning. This is about emotional truth being revealed. Because when real feelings are suppressed for too long, they do not disappear, they grow stronger in silence, and eventually, they surface. What is coming next in your journey is a moment of emotional honesty, a realization that cannot be avoided, a shift that cannot be ignored, and a truth that changes how you see the entire connection. But Archangel Michael warns you gently, do not confuse emotional return with emotional clarity. Just because something comes back does not mean it returns the same way. Some connections return to be understood, not repeated, so your awareness is important now. Do not rush. Do not assume. Do not force meaning where clarity has not yet fully arrived. Because what is unfolding is still in motion, and motion takes time before it becomes form, but the energy is clear. Something is coming into alignment. Something that has been delayed is moving again. Something that was silent is preparing to speak. And you, chosen one, are at the center of this unfolding moment. Stay aware, because what comes in part 2 will go deeper into the emotional truth, the hidden feelings, and the reason why distance was never actually separation, but preparation. And as this energy continues to unfold, there is something you need to understand more deeply now. Because what is happening is not just emotional, it is energetic correction. Archangel Michael says that when two souls are connected through a strong emotional imprint, time does not erase that connection. It only delays its expression. And delay always creates pressure. That pressure is what you are now beginning to feel. And what they are also beginning to feel, but in completely different ways. On your side, it feels like confusion sometimes. On their side, it feels like regret, because silence always reveals what words were trying to hide, and now, silence is breaking inside them. They are starting to think about you more often than they expected, not because they want to suffer, but because certain memories refuse to leave. Your presence in their mind is becoming more frequent. At first it was occasional, then it became noticeable. Now, it is becoming unavoidable. Even when they try to distract themselves, something brings them back to you, a sound, a place, a thought, a moment, or even a feeling they cannot explain. And this is where emotional imbalance begins, because they are realizing something they never admitted before. You were not just a part of their life. You were a feeling of peace they didn't recognize at the time, and now that peace feels missing. Meanwhile, you are also changing. You are no longer the same energy you were before. You are becoming emotionally detached from confusion, but still connected to understanding. That is why this situation still matters to you, even when you try to move forward. Because real connections do not end with decisions. They end when both energies fully release each other, and that has not happened yet. Archangel Michael says, there is still unfinished emotional communication between you and this person, not spoken, but felt. Because in many cases, the deepest conversations are not verbal. They happen in silence, distance, and memory. And right now, that silent conversation is becoming louder on their side. They are starting to question their past decisions, not in a logical way, but in an emotional way that they cannot control. They remember things differently now. What they once ignored now feels important. What they once walked away from now feels valuable. and what they once assumed would always be there now feels absent. This absence is creating awakening, and awakening always feels uncomfortable before it feels clear. You may not see anything physical happening yet, but energy is already shifting behind the scenes, and in divine timing. Energy always becomes reality. There is a strong possibility that soon you will notice a sudden, emotional change in this connection, something unexpected, something that feels out of nowhere, a message that carries emotion instead of logic, a confession that was delayed for too long, or a moment where silence is finally broken. But Archangel Michael also reminds you, not every return is stable, not every emotion is fully healed, and not every confession comes from clarity. Some come from fear of loss, some come from realization of value, and some come from emotional pressure, building up over time, so your awareness must be true. Some connections were meant to teach, some were meant to awaken, and some were meant to transform your emotional understanding. But before anything external changes, internal clarity must arrive first, and you are very close to that stage now. You are moving out of emotional confusion and entering emotional awareness. This is why certain memories still appear, not to hurt you, but to complete the lesson. And once the lesson is complete, the emotional weight begins to fade naturally. But before that happens, one more stage remains, the stage of truth revelation. And that is where part 3 begins, where everything that has been building up in silence finally moves toward expression. Stay ready, because what comes next is the emotional turning point you have been sensing for a long time. And now, something deeper begins to unfold, because what is coming next is not just emotional realization anymore. It is emotional pressure reaching its limit. Archangel Michael says there are moments when silence becomes so heavy that it forces truth to move. And this is that moment. Somewhere, in someone's life connected to you, they are no longer able to ignore what they feel. They try to stay normal. They try to act distracted. They try to convince themselves that it doesn't matter. But it does. And deep down, they already know it. Your presence has not left their energy field. It still exists in their thoughts, in their reactions, in their quiet moments. Even when they are laughing, a part of them is thinking about you. Even when they are busy, a part of them is remembering you. Even when they are surrounded by people, a part of them still feels something missing, and that missing piece is becoming louder every day. Because absence is not empty, absence speaks, and now it is speaking too loudly to ignore. Meanwhile, you are also reaching a point of inner clarity. You are no longer stuck in confusion like before. You are starting to see patterns. You are starting to understand energy instead of just emotions, and that shift is powerful, because when you stop interpreting everything emotionally, you start seeing truth more clearly. Archangel Michael says, you are entering a phase where emotional illusions will begin to dissolve. What confused you before will now start making sense. What hurt you before will now start to teach you, and what you once waited for will now start to reveal its real purpose. Not everything that returns into your awareness is meant to return into your life. Some things return only to be understood at a deeper level, and once you understand it fully, you no longer feel attached the same way. But on the other side, something is building, a strong emotional breaking point. They are reaching a moment where silence is no longer possible. Because holding back truth is becoming painful and emotional. Pressure always demands release. That release can come in many forms: a message, a confession, a sudden emotional outburst, or even a small action that reveals everything they were hiding. But whatever form it takes, it will change the emotional direction of this connection, not because destiny is forcing it, but because emotional energy has reached completion. And when energy completes its cycle, it must express itself. This is why you are sensing something coming, even if nothing is visible yet. Your intuition is already picking up the shift. That feeling that something is about to happen is not imagination. It is awareness, and Archangel Michael confirms, the next emotional movement in this connection will not be silent. It will be noticeable, it will be unexpected, and it will be honest in a way it has never been before. But listen carefully. Even when truth arrives, you will be asked to understand it from a higher perspective, not emotional reaction, but emotional awareness. Because what comes next is not just about reunion or separation, it is about understanding what was real, and what was projection, what was love, and what was attachment, what was fear, and what was truth. And this clarity will change how you see everything that happened before. You will begin to realize nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meaningless. Everything was shaping you. Everything was preparing you. Everything was guiding you toward emotional maturity. And now, you are entering the final stage of this unfolding, where truth begins to surface fully, where hidden emotions can no longer stay hidden, where silence finally breaks and where understanding becomes unavoidable. But this is still not the end, because what happens after truth is revealed is a choice. And that choice will define the next chapter of your emotional journey. That is where part 3 begins. And now, you have reached the final stage of this message, the energy that has been building, the emotions that have been rising, the silence that has been growing. Everything is now reaching its turning point. Archangel Michael says, "This is the moment where truth can no longer stay hidden, because emotional pressure has turned into emotional reality. Somewhere right now, in someone's life connected to you, something is about to break open, not in a destructive way, but in a revealing way. Because what has been held inside for too long can no longer stay silent. They are thinking about you differently now. Not casually, not occasionally, but deeply. Your presence is no longer just a memory in their mind. It is becoming a feeling they cannot ignore. Every attempt to distract themselves has started failing. Every attempt to move on feels incomplete. And every time they try to convince themselves that it is over, something inside them disagrees, because the heart does not forget what once felt real, and now that truth is becoming stronger than pride. Meanwhile, you are standing in a very different energy now. You are no longer chasing answers. You are no longer stuck in confusion. You are becoming someone who observes instead of reacts, and this is where your power returns. Archangel Michael says, when you stop needing closure from people, life starts giving you clarity on its own. And that is exactly what is happening now. But in their world, something is reaching a breaking point. A message is being formed in silence. Words they have avoided saying for a long time are now forming inside them, not because they planned it, but because they can no longer hold it back. There is a feeling building up that they cannot explain anymore. Pressure in the heart, a weight in the thoughts, a silence that feels too loud, and this combination always leads to one thing: expression. Some form of truth will come out. It may be a message. It may be a confession. It may be a sudden, emotional moment where everything slips out at once. But it will happen, because emotional energy never stays trapped forever, and this is the cycle completing. But listen carefully. What comes next is not just about them, it is about you too, because when truth arrives, it does not only reveal them, it reveals you as well. You will begin to see the situation differently. You will understand what was real and what was illusion. You will realize what was meant for growth and what was meant for attachment, and that realization will shift your emotional state permanently. Archangel Michael says, this is the moment where emotional confusion ends. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because everything becomes clear, and clarity is more powerful than closure. Because closure depends on others, but clarity depends on you, and now you are entering that state. A state where you no longer wait blindly. You observe, you understand, you feel, without losing yourself, and that is your transformation. But there is still one final movement in this story. Because when energy reaches completion, something always follows: a decision, a moment where someone chooses whether to step forward or stay silent. And in this case, silence is no longer winning. The emotional truth inside them has grown too strong. They may try to delay it. They may try to hide it. But they cannot erase it anymore. And soon, something will happen that reflects this inner shift. A message that was delayed, a confession that was avoided, or a sudden emotional expression that changes everything. Not because fate is forcing it, but because truth is finally heavier than fear, and now everything aligns toward that moment. But Archangel Michael also brings a final message for you. Do not attach your peace to what comes next, because what returns or what is revealed is only part of your journey. Not the source of your happiness. You were always meant to rise beyond confusion, beyond waiting, beyond emotional dependency, and into awareness. This entire experience has been shaping you into someone stronger, emotionally, someone clearer mentally, and someone more aligned with their own energy. And now that transformation is complete, so whatever happens next, you will not fall back into confusion. You will see it with clarity. You will understand it with maturity, and you will move forward with awareness, because this was never just about someone else. This was about you becoming emotionally awakened, and now you are. The silence is ending. The truth is rising. And the emotional cycle is completing. Archangel Michael says, what was meant for you will not miss you, and what was not meant for you will not stay, no matter how deeply it once felt. Now take a deep breath, because your next chapter begins not with confusion, but with clarity, and that is the real breakthrough. My beloved chosen one, stay with this message a little longer, because what is happening now is not the end of your story. It is the moment everything begins to make sense. For so long, you have been walking through seasons that nobody else fully understood. You smiled when your heart was heavy. You remained silent when you had every reason to speak. You kept moving forward when others expected you to quit. Heaven saw every moment, every tear that never fell, every prayer that was whispered. Every night you lay awake wondering if things would ever change. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was forgotten. And now Archangel Michael wants you to understand something important. The delay was never a denial. The waiting was never punishment. The silence was preparation, because the blessing that is moving toward you now requires a stronger version of you than the person you used to be. Look at how far you have come. You survived things that were supposed to break you. You walked away from people who underestimated you. You learned lessons that changed the way you see yourself. You discovered strength you never knew existed. That strength is the reason you are hearing this message today, because something is shifting, not someday, not eventually, now. There is a chapter closing behind you, a chapter of confusion, a chapter of disappointment, a chapter where you constantly questioned your worth. That chapter is ending. A new chapter is opening. And in this chapter, you stop chasing, you stop proving, you stop begging for recognition. What belongs to you begins finding its way to you. The doors that ignored you begin opening. The opportunities that seemed impossible begin appearing. The people who overlooked you begin noticing your value. The truth begins revealing itself. Archangel Michael says there is someone whose thoughts keep returning to you. No matter how hard they try to distract themselves, no matter how far they run, no matter how much pride they carry. Your absence has become impossible for them to ignore. They remember conversations, they remember moments, they remember feelings they tried to bury. And every day the weight of those memories grows heavier, because truth cannot remain hidden forever. Eventually, every mask falls. Eventually, every secret reaches the surface. Eventually, every heart must face what it truly feels. That moment is approaching. Can you feel it? There is an energy around you right now, a strange sense that something important is about to happen. That feeling is not an accident. Your spirit recognizes movement before your eyes can see it. Your soul senses change before your mind understands it. Pay attention to the signs around you. Pay attention to unexpected conversations. Pay attention to sudden opportunities. Pay attention to unusual coincidences. What looks random is not random. What looks small is not small. Heaven often moves through details people ignore. One message, one phone call, one meeting, one decision, one unexpected moment. That is all it takes for an entire future to change. You are closer than you realize. Closer than yesterday, closer than last week, closer than last month, closer than you have been in a very long time. The breakthrough you have prayed for is not moving away from you. It is moving toward you. That is why the pressure has felt so intense lately. That is why the emotions have been stronger. That is why things have felt different. Whenever destiny approaches, the atmosphere changes first, and that atmosphere is changing now. Archangel Michael says, "Do not allow fear to convince you that nothing is happening." Fear always speaks loudest right before a breakthrough. Fear always tries to distract you before a blessing arrives. Fear always wants you to quit one step before the miracle. Do not quit. Do not turn around. Do not lose faith. You have come too far. You have survived too much. You have grown too much. The future cannot be stopped by the doubts of the past. Listen carefully. Someone is learning a lesson because of your silence. Someone is realizing your value because of your absence. Someone is beginning to understand what they lost, and whether they return or not, something important has already happened. You remembered your worth. You stopped settling. You stopped accepting less than you deserve. You started becoming the person heaven always knew you could be. That transformation is your real victory. Because when you know your value, everything changes. The way you speak changes. The way you think changes. The way you walk changes. The way people see you changes. And the opportunities that come into your life change. The version of you that once accepted crumbs no longer exists. The version of you that constantly doubted yourself is fading away. The version of you that knows who they are is rising. That is why your future looks different. Archangel Michael says your story is not ending with loss. It is ending with revelation. It is ending with clarity. It is ending with truth. And it is beginning with purpose. Very soon you will look back and realize that every delay had a reason. Every disappointment carried a lesson. Every closed door provided protection. Every painful goodbye created space for something better. Nothing was meaningless. Everything was leading here. Everything was preparing you. Everything was building you. And now the moment you have been waiting for is drawing near. Take a deep breath. Release the fear. Release the doubt. Release the old story. Because a new story is being written. A stronger story. A brighter story. A story where you finally see why you were chosen. My beloved chosen one, Archangel Michael's final message for you is this. Do not be discouraged by what you cannot see. Heaven is already moving in your favor. The breakthrough is closer than it appears. The truth is closer than it seems. And the blessing meant for you has already begun its journey toward your life. This is not the end.